Welcome to your Taylor Council Connection. My name is Daniel Seguin, and this is a recap of the June 25th, 2026 City Council meeting. The meeting began with recognition of the Communications Department and the Parks Department. They brought home 2 awards from the Texas Association of Municipal Information Officers. The first was an award of excellence for a recurring special event in a city with a population under 100,000 for the Youth Bike Rodeo. The second was an award of excellence for a civic engagement event in a city with a population under 75,000 for Taylor on Foot. Next was the consent agenda, non-controversial and routine items that can be voted on with a single vote. These items included the monthly financial report for May, the budget amendment introduced at the last meeting, and a letter of support for Williamson County's grant application to the U.S. Department of Transportation for the East Wilco Highway. The council then held 3 public hearings. The first was for a zone change for just under 10 acres at 1201 South Rio Grande Street at the intersection with the Loop. The property is partially zoned P2 Rural and P3 Neighborhood. They're requesting a change to P5 Urban Center, which would align the property with the intended future commercial use along the Carlos G. Parker corridor. The second was for an employment center plan for .8 acres at 2700 Davis Street. An employment center plan is required when a property will be zoned employment center for unique commercial or industrial uses. It provides a proposed layout of the property with intended roadways, zoning, parks, and drainage. In this case, employment center zoning is required for the property's intended use as a gas station. The developer plans to expand the gas station that is already present on the property. The third was for a zone change for 3.7 acres at 2103 Kent Street. The property is nestled between Kent Street and Tammy Lane and is currently zoned P2.5 large lot. The developer is seeking to rezone the property to P3 neighborhood. The main differences between these 2 zones is that P3 allows attached dwellings like townhomes and duplexes. It does not allow manufactured homes. It increases the lot coverage from 40% to 60% and increases the facade build-out from 40% to 50%. In other words, they can build multifamily units on the property, and they can increase how large the buildings are compared to the lot size. The first 2 items will return to a future council meeting for final consideration. The council voted to deny the zone change for the Kent Street project. Next, the council received a presentation from Tischler Bice on their fiscal impact analysis model. Tischler Bice was hired to develop a tool to estimate the financial impact of developments, including the provision of water, wastewater, street maintenance, police, fire, parks and recreation, library services, etc. With inputs based on residential units, commercial space, and jobs, the tool will estimate the property tax revenue from the development and compare that to the estimated cost of services to determine if the proposed development will result in a cost burden on existing residents or cover its own service costs and provide additional financial benefit to existing residents. The council received a presentation next from HDR Engineering regarding the lead and copper inventory project. The EPA issued new rules in 2024 that require cities to develop a service line inventory that included the material of the service line. This includes the city's portion from the water main to the water meter and the residents' portion from the water meter to the house. It also requires replacement of lead and galvanized service lines within the next 10 years. So far, the city has identified the materials of almost all service lines. There are still 45 in the city on the city side of the meter and 74 on the customer side that will need more invasive investigation to determine the material type. Of those that have been confirmed, there are 8 lines on the customer side that are made of lead, none on the city side. And there are 84 on the customer side that are confirmed to be galvanized, and 2 confirmed galvanized on the city side. Both lead and galvanized lines will need to be replaced in the next 10 years. The city has notified those residents with confirmed lead or galvanized service lines. The customer side of the meter is the responsibility of the homeowner to replace, and there may be grant opportunities that the city will pursue once the inventory is complete. Finally, the council approved a flood relief grant program from the Tax Increment Financing District, or TIF. The TIF is a special zone where a majority of the property taxes paid by property owners in that zone must be spent within its boundaries. Additionally, they must be spent on items previously approved in the project plan, including economic development assistance and incentives. The flood relief program will provide up to $1,000 to each business in the TIF zone that experienced damage and economic disruption due to flooding that occurred on May 19th of this year. The funds will come from existing economic development incentives budget within the TIF and will not require a budget amendment. During executive session, the council consulted with the city attorney regarding the data center and digital infrastructure petition, Project Mustang, and Project Meridian. No action was taken. Thank you for tuning into Your Council Connection. Don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.